Hello, this is Brian Nordhagen with Hobby Lab. Today I had the chance to run some LDpower 2305 2300 kV motors on the thrust bench. I just got done, and I'm going to do a little explaining about what I found on the motor, what I found on the props, what I like about them, what I don't, and what they come with, and how they're style, and a couple of specs. First of all, they come in two different kVs, 2300 or 2600. We got the 2300s today to test. They have a exposed PC board instead of wires. I've never used a motor like that, so this will be the first time I'm trying it out myself. I'm not sure how this setup works, but I'm interested to give it a try. 5mm hollowed shaft. The motors come with the reverse thread for two of them, which is actually a kind of nice feature if you like to clip a lot of branches. Sometimes you can actually loosen them up, and also kind of downside, sometimes you end up over tightening on props because of that while clipping a lot of trees. They're really nicely machined. They come with a wrench that can actually like slide in and get to the bell of the motor to help hold it to get the nuts loose. Comes with two nuts for each two nuts per motor in each direction, so that's kind of a nice touch. The kit also comes with a small set of little wire leads if you need two wires. If you don't have any, it's nice to have. Comes with a full set of screws, but one thing you have to be aware of is if you have a 4mm thick frame, these will not quite cut it for a 4mm frame. So make sure you keep an eye on that and make sure you have the right size available. Hopefully the strength of these are improved over the previous generation. I did kill one before by bending the whole center section of the motor, like, you know, out of alignment to the base plate. As you can see, this is a 2206 2200 kV motor I'll be throwing on the thrust bench next. They have a lot thinner or less material on the inside, and I think that's why we're able to bend the shaft on them. But that was a pretty gnarly crash. That's the only problem I've ever had with these motors. So I'm really looking forward to giving these ones a try. After I ran the thrust bench today, I found that the RaceKraft 5040 tries and the 5040 quads were really good performers with a fair bit of efficiency, and also the HQ S-tip 5040 tries. These were great prop combinations on the motor, especially if you compare it to like a 2205. You will probably be seeing a fair bit less amperage for the amount of thrust you'll get out of them. Maybe on the downside, if you like the 5051s, these motors, they did all right. They didn't pull a crazy amount of amps, but I kind of wish they were a little bit more on par with some of the other props. We're going to have another video in a little while if you can actually see me running all the tests, and I also put it in an Excel spreadsheet what the results were. The 5045 Bullnose also, while not bad, especially compared to 2205, still a fair bit of amperage for a fair bit less efficiency. And then these ones, I think, almost took out my ESC or motor. These are Hobbywing 6x4.5, like full Bullnose, and I think I pulled like around 45 amps, 1300 grams of thrust, but that's a lot of amperage, and the motor was incredibly hot and the ESC was incredibly hot. So all I got left to do now is I'm going to mount these on a quad, and hopefully this weekend I'll get some flying time with them. I'll be upgrading some 2205 2300 red bottoms with these, so I think I should see a fair bit of improvement. I will be running with 5 and 6S. I also have some tests in the video down in link 2 of some 5 and 6S thrust bench runs, so if you're interested in that. I didn't do the heavy props because I pretty much was for sure going to smoke the motors after I think this is about as big of a prop as you can run on 5 and 6S on these motors, but the amperage was not nearly that bad compared to some other 2600 and 2700 motors on the market, 2205s on 5 and 6S. So there's definitely an advantage to switching up to a 2305 size motor. I'm kind of interested to see how these compare to the other 2206 motors I have. And I'm also hoping to get my hands on a set of F60s to test out later on too, because I'm interested in seeing how the 2207 performs, especially like in the 2400 kV range compared to some of these 2305 motors. It seems like there's a little bit of competition between which ones will be maybe the next standard per se. But either way, I'm really looking forward to it because these do handle 5S with tris and quad blades a lot better than the red bottoms, which I've been running for a while now with a lot of great luck. And even the 2205, 2550 kV DYS motors have handling 5S and 6S quite well on those tri-blade RaceKrafts. So, an overview, I think it's a great motor. I'm like that they thickened it up, nicely machined. Hopefully it'll perform real well. Check the link below if you need a little bit more information about them. Only changes I'd like to see made was maybe slightly longer screws in the kit because, again, most people have 4mm frames, and I don't even think those will really cut it with 3mm with how short they are. So you may need to find some screws if you buy these. Maybe they'll change it up before since these are a brand new product, hopefully they'll change that. But how we're going to be doing the test is we're going to run each of the motors up to 250 grams of thrust. Then I'll be taking a look at the amp draw. I'll then run the motors at 50% throttle through the flight controller, or however I'm controlling it. Basically running at 1500 on the pulse. And then I'm going to see how many grams of thrust and how many amps it is. We'll calculate the efficiency there. And then we're going to run it wide open for about 5 to 10 seconds. And then, well, maybe a little more, about 10 or so. We'll see how much it's pulling. If it's pulling more than 40, 45 amps, I usually like to cut it right there because that's a little too much. Mostly be doing 4S packs today. I will do a few of the smaller props on 6S also to see where they're coming in at. And also some 5S runs on a few of them also. So, here we go. First prop, I'm just going to run the real basic, the Dow V3. Just going to be doing a 4S run on this one first. Alright, next up, we're going to do with the Dow V2 dual blade, the 5045. Next up, we're going to give the Hobbywing 6x4.5 a shot here. Well, got a little warm there. Might be a little too much prop for this, to be honest. Yeah, it might be way too much prop for this. I already got the RaceKraft 5040 tries on here with a brand new battery also. And we're putting on the RaceKraft Bullnose, very similar to the 5045, similar to the Dow V2 tri Bullnose that was also out. Next prop up is the RaceKraft 5045 quad blade, or 5040, not 5045. Alright, next up we have the HQ. This is the S-tip 5x4 tri-blades. Really good prop. I'm liking these right now. Alright, last up we have the RaceKraft 5051 tries. Alright, so now I'm going to run a few 5S runs here. I'm going to run the thin blade props mostly, so I'm going to try the tries first. Alright, before I take this prop off, motor's actually not too incredibly hot in that run, a little warm. I'm going to run a 6S on this prop also. Something was not happy. I'm going to run the quad blade version of that on the 5040 RaceKraft quads. Alrighty, 6S.